And
then thirdly, the relation of Tara to the Jigong Kagyu lineage. In the Jigong Kagyu lineage, she appeared as Achi Chuki Dorma. So Achi is also an emanation of Tara. And also there was Magic Lapdorn and so forth. And she also has her own life story. But now for Achi actually has three names, Achi, Chuki, Dorma. And actually she didn't have these three names right in the beginning, but they gradually developed. So actually first, when she was born, that girl was already able to say Tara's name. So she could say Tara. And that is why she was given the name Taram. So that was her first name, which is the third one in Achi Chuki Dorma. So Dorma means Taram. And then at that time, the name was related to the birthplace. It was a Gita Tang, which later was abbreviated to Datang. So later in Lhasa, there was this like military office, and they changed that name to that. But in any case, when Achi was actually born, then at that time, like many flowers and parasols and rainbows, many auspicious signs appeared. And so that is actually implied by this name of the place, Gita Tang. So that was the name also given to the place she was born, which then also became part of her name. And so then later, when she grew up and was able to communicate with others, she began to teach the Dharma. She spoke about karma and love and compassion. And so then people thought that, oh, this girl, she teaches the Dharma, so we should give her the name Dharma Taram. So that is how she then became known as Chuki Dharma, which means Dharma Tara.
Kami Mambo Jure, Kami Mambo Janesi, Roju Kami Jus Roju Mambo Jure, Yana, Kamra Pen, Dong Jura Dong Jesini, Terasai, Share Yore, did do Chero, did do Sunatri, did do Yasu, after the say Jatong, say Jatong, say Jibitini, Tobachi Tisu, Yaplan, Doje, Shiba Teltini, Tobachi Tisu, Chong, the little pen, J. The contract cha ate sajer de ba nyam der tin rong ning ge ba ga de sajer de ba kyuni ta to be nam tar ri so ata rong ning ge be sam de ta cha de be ni da che bo cha de o di ap chi cha de de marab jaga ama de ap chi la ko de ap chi chi de ro ma to ne to ba de ko gu su ko si de ko dong ma ba wa 꿀마 바와 다다 치초 종라서가 무슨 다지 체체 이 다고 소리야 송사를 지탑도 다 야야 요리다다 자자 무슨 요래 대지 사자들나 라마게 바탕교 하고 요래 대외더니 아소니 야를 벽자들 폭과들 야를 폭과 각도 폭과들라고 야를 폭과라고 요래 이 앞서 가지고 싶은 그 정도 말이지.
And so then later in her life, she traveled to Kham, to eastern Tibet, and actually throughout her life, you can see in her life story, she actually overcame a lot of difficulties. She went through a lot of hardships. And so finally, later then, she came to the eastern part of Tibet, to a place called Jurajak. And Jura actually, that is the name of certain like a bloodline that was actually that is like divine, half from the god realm, and that was about to be interrupted. And so in order not to interrupt this bloodline, this divine bloodline, in order to sustain it, she formed a union with a man, and then from this union 4 sons were born. And then later, generations, 2 generations down, then one of those sons had another son who became Lord Jigten Sumgön's father. He was like a yogi called Dorje, yeah? Namcho Dorje. And so he, then Lord Jigten Sumgön then became a really great being whose activities actually really equaled the Buddha's activities. And he was said to have a vast assembly of disciples, of 1,200,000 disciples. And there's also supplication of praise written by Lingi Rinpoche within the context of a story praising the 12 enlightened deeds of the Buddha. And so in any case, that is how she then got the last of her 3 names, Achi. Because Achi means great-grandmother. So she was Jigten Sumgön's great-grandmother. So finally, she then had those 3 names, Achi Chogi Dorma. And Achi, in her lifetime, she actually also departed from this world without leaving her mortal body behind. She actually departed with her horse and a small dog, who all left a foot imprint on the rocks that can still be seen today actually in Guradak in Kham in Tibet. And many of the elder lamas know about that. So that happened, their departure and footprints and so on happened when she attained the rainbow body. And that is also the name that was then given to the cave from where she departed to the Dakini Pure Land. So it is given that name of that Dakini Pure Land, or it is called this rainbow body cave. But anyways, she left in this way without leaving her mortal body behind. Also, Achi had composed her own sadhana, and it's actually quite thick. It's a very large volume of scripture, and then within that she also said herself that in the future, when the Buddha's teachings encounter difficulties, when there are difficulties in upholding and sustaining and increasing the Buddha's teachings, at that time you should pray to me, supplicate to me. So these were her actual words, and that she also wrote in her own sadhana. And so that sadhana that she wrote is actually quite a unique scripture. Actually, unless you have a very learned scholar, a great master who explains it to you, it is very difficult to even make sense of it. It's very difficult for anyone to read. It's not like an ordinary book that follows a certain structure, even basic structure like page numbers. Normally we follow a certain, like a concept from number 1 to 2 and so on. And there's nothing like that. So it seems to be completely disorganized without any kind of order, in a way a bit random and even disorganized. And so it's quite a very unique and like strange kind of text.
Tiri tēmini pōgura wā tāngchila tata jibdi rōma ngūsa kapāgi shārsa rōndō nāni māngbō yore tata sōjā Rinpoche ka pāsa nāngi yore kāsa kāra nāngi yore tērchīn chōlañ tā nyāyāng chīte kōntōra tāngchila ngūsa tani āsaka kēyas āndamari jibdi rōma kētā shēki yore tiri kōsō pō mī pāpāda nāna ya jōma tīpō sōwā tā tiri Majatam chila tene taga songtok kesa, maguga songtok kesa, lojukiya mangbo yore, deshina nyama mangbo chaya yore mari, une teta yore, tene tata musa tene nyamsa langni, tene jepti ruma maga chakta, tene kesa naga loji nachik shege, chisola.
And so then there are many stories of many various Tibetan lamas, for example, who have directly encountered Tara, and to whom Tara has actually spoken directly. There's many stories about that. For example, there is the story about Sogya Rinpoche, who had this image of Tara, who actually spoke to many lamas, and that image actually Sogya Rinpoche is distributing to many places. For example, there was the great Derden Choling and Chamyen Khyentse and Hongdrul and so forth. And this image of Tara actually spoke to them directly. And then not just great lamas, also she had appeared to just ordinary people. There's also many stories in Tibet on how she appeared to lay people who supplicated Tara. And then she came and protected them from all kinds of fears, like from tigers or from like barbarians or bandits and so forth. So there's a lot of stories about that, real stories. Actually, there would be no end even talking about them. We could talk about all those stories for days. But I would like to share with you one personal story on how Tara had protected myself in this very life.
Hunji tisiri jambon kontrola dari koche ton sima koche pache yoba deta songa tini koge jeti romanyani je song tini lama song le tini kon jeti roma dawa tok siba tang tini kon tini dayam ti kaya manang tini malam kaya matang tini jambon kontrol kon tanche ta jeti roma domna kaya song ma zong tini sam tor targetri solo la cola personale la cola per di la cola manetri molto tanto che mi sto chapato te ore tu quando io ya o tati kaya ma ya corso te sakana o te un po' molto che mi sto te so sa con kaya si ma che il sakana sa mi sto ma molto mi sto già da che ore che sa mi sto già da che te Jeti Ruba Musakti call me to chop party day. Then me to Jata Day you. They just could say Jata Day you. Family did Jeti Ruma pay your salary, some the young Kong, the Pachi, so no time of your salaries.
Also, actually, there was Chamgyun Kongdor who had encountered some obstacles to his lifespan. And so his Lama then told him that he needed to practice Tara, White Tara. And so then he did a Tara retreat for 6 months. So he recited Tara mantra. And during this whole time, he had no special signs of accomplishing the practice. He didn't even have a dream. So after some time then, after his retreat, he became tired from practice, and he felt that now I've practiced Tara, but there seems to be no benefit. So he quit the retreat, and he then walked around like a circumambulation, like a Kora path. And along that path, he met a girl. And that girl offered him a bunch of flowers for offerings for the temple. So at that time, he didn't think that that was anything special. He just thought that there is this little girl who gave me some flowers to offer it to the temple. So he took the flowers and he came to the temple, and then when he looked closer at the flowers, he counted the flowers, and it turned out that it was exactly 108 flowers. And then he thought, that is really very strange. And then it occurred to him that this little girl was not just any little girl, but it was really an emanation of Tara who gave him those flowers. And actually, then it turned out that he lived to a lifespan of exactly 108 years. And so after he had this experience that that really was Tara, that is when real devotion then arose in him. And then there's also actually a story of Tara from the ultimate perspective, and that actually is illustrated in those 7 verses of supplication to Tara. So the supplication to the 7 aspects of the protectress Tara, which is, if you have the sadhana, on page 14. And so previously, those stories are like outer aspects of Tara's story, outer aspects that explain Tara's qualities. And then there's also a background to Tara that is explained on the ultimate level. And that mainly explains on how from the Dharmakaya, the Sambhogakaya arises. What is the relation between Sambhogakaya and the Dharmakaya? And that is explained in those supplication to the 7 aspects of Tara. So here, by reading these verses, we learn that Tara is actually one's own mind. Tara is your own wisdom. Tara is your own compassion. So these verses explain the essence of Tara, what is her mind, the nature of Tara's mind. So these verses are actual verses that can be applied to practice. When love and compassion arise, you can recognize that is Tara. Or when you are mindful, then you can recognize that as Tara. Or ultimately, when you realize Mahamudra, non-duality, you recognize that as Tara. And so how to recognize that as Tara is explained in those 7 verses. You have received those little green booklet maybe that explains that. Also later, maybe you can ask your own teachers more questions about that. But that is more the inner or secret aspect of Tara's story. And by reading those verses, her real qualities, the qualities of her mind, are clarified. And so how it is clarified is that Tara is actually inseparable from your own mind. So the secret or actual aspect of Tara, the quality of Tara, is actually the state of Mahamudra.
동당 시바 동당 거군이 도마 로제송 도마 로제들은 콜디 니와데 이제 셈리 셈고르데 격격 매바데 이메와 나카타버들이 차대 때 동당을 대바송 양도 참여 시에크요래 공부요래 대회는 니디지데 니스도 박차데 고와래 이미 니스면의 이시에서 세랑종 이미 이실라지 니스도 박차데 제가 세정 좋아라 톡 이미들 하면 잡듯어 되니 이스메베 다 공자운데 셈 나카타버 삼바 세미기는 다음에 박차 디노니 다음에 박차 돈이 나카타버 이게 바하고는 그렇게 돈다고 주고 염치를 줘봐야 돼 좀 마야 그래서 대도로들이 접질 좀 하면 있으면 봐지 접질 좀더 주고 염치 못이 봐야 돼 사지 덮지였잖아 어찌가 차고 요래 아들 사지도 공방 근데 이 요법 가르들이 다다 되는지 다지 니 고대 니 대독이 바깔라 그래 접질 좀 놓고지 쭉 그들이 대다다 노르도 손수 좋겠는데 생기 담게라 피마다 대화되네 들이 접지를 두고요래 배는 자르도 로지는 양 접지를 나타요래 자연의 문제들이 우봉지 동해지 버적들이 다원은 접지를 좀 마요는 들이 자사 잡들이 보차 들이 접지를 다원은 야소서 작으로 주는 대부분 대요래 대다버들 쉽게 탐지했더니 모잡제피로 대다가 고독 대다가 이제 도다부는 대다가 또 뭐는 따뜻다 세남도 이미 있을라 이제 필요도 생각 더를 봐 차리요 해야지
So from the ultimate perspective, so no, this is the verse actually here on page 16, the second verse, the goddess of the non-dual mind. So that is, no, the non-dual mind is the ultimate aspect of Dharma. And the ultimate aspect of Dharma is inseparable from your own mind. And that is the basis of samsara and nirvana. So it has a single essence, but it is beyond being like one or many. It is just limitless like the sky. And so that is really the meaning that we like reflect upon and meditate upon again and again. So this verse here, the goddess of non-dual mind, please protect those who, no matter what they do, are bound by imprints of dualistic grasping at the mind that is self-arisen non-dual wisdom. So this self-arisen non-dual wisdom is that when there is a dualistic grasping, the imprint of dualistic grasping, that is the samsaric mind. And when non-duality is realized, when you're free of these imprints of dualistic grasping, that is then referred to as this non-dual primordial wisdom. And it is realized by cultivating immeasurable love. When you cultivate immeasurable love, then the self, the concept of the self disappears. And you see the empty, unborn, space-like nature of the mind. And that nature is the ultimate aspect of Dharma. It is the Dharmakaya, Great Mother. So basically, when you realize non-duality, you have realized the ultimate aspect of Dharma, the Dharmakaya. And within that nature, within that Great Mother, Dharmakaya, all the Buddhas are one. All the Buddhas gathered there. That is all the Buddha's essence. And so that is the state, what we call the state of enlightenment. Now, when there is a dualistic perception, everything appears in a dualistic way. There is self and other, samsara and nirvana, happiness and suffering. So for those beings, then Tara appears as nirmanakayas and sambhogakayas. She appears, for example, as a nirmanakaya in the individual, the particular bodies of the various 6 realms of samsara. appearing in order to benefit sentient beings there. There's actually also one other story about Tara according to the Chinese Buddhist tradition. And so there was a young poor boy, and then to him, Tara, when he was looking into the moon, Tara appeared to him. So then she came and she I guess they got married and had a child, and then she left again back to the moon. So she just appeared to benefit a sentient being. So there's many different stories on the relative level, but here on the ultimate level, her ultimate nature is that state of non-duality. It is self-arisen in that it is always within one's own mind, being beyond meeting and parting.
Tani tēnā tēnī nīsa tāpa pācā kyatar sēcān kiwā rā ādi tā sēmna nīsa mē pā tēsā hā kōna tā yōk kī yōpē tēnī tēlā chādāng kī tēdok kī yōpē tēnī yōshē mē pā tēnī kēngā tēlā tēnī tā sā ñāw tēnī tēnī dōtāp shī pā tē tā tēlā kō yōrē tēlā tēnī tā hō tā kō wāng shō tēnī chī shō tēnī ñāw tēnī tēnī tā ñāw tēnī kōrē tēnī ñāw nī sā tā tē tō dē pā tē
So it says, they are, no matter what they do, they are bound by the imprint of dualistic grasping. So that to the mind that is self-arisen non-dual wisdom. So even though we might understand that the mind is actually within the mind, there is no duality, but still, because there is the presence of a duality in terms of our bodies, there is this ongoing arising of attachment and aversion and happiness and suffering and so on. And for this reason, it is also necessary to practice a deity. We need to engage in practice. And so for that, we first receive the empowerment and then the instructions, and then we actually must engage in practice. And so how to engage in practice of Tara, ultimately, that is introduced to here in this verse on page number 16.
탑 데이터가 되니 거는 담 작업으로 돼. 저 탑let 데이터가 사지가 수말이 사지 강수 추수말이 추리 뭐더니 다들이 뭐로 사바던 인기 수말이 되는 거 사바던 인기 총총마도 계속 요 말이 데이터니 딱 삼바도 소리치 또 사바니 기때 저 고아서 찾아 이렇게 비주부터 없었어요. 접지 좀만 써봤다만 집지 좀 삼바던 인기티 그런 거라 드리페나 고치는지 대 집지 좀 더 저는 내가 따뜻한 집지 좀 말해 이거 쏴 서이나 동다 되는 차트 상태에서 덮고요. 그 자리는 뛰어들이 사이를 집지로 삼바체를 봐요. 마서 다들 될 플라카를 좀 내는 바트들이 사바던 인기에 봐. 그도 사촉성이 봐. 대 토르들이 랑도 선대기는 사제에 봐. 사제 가까 토야가 대하고는 그렇다. 사제를 취소 출력 견준성 다수로 견준이 다들 잡으도 봐주기 있어. 잡으로 할 잡선도 상고 내게 가래 사제가 성고 주 엘레주를 너 사바든 기지 대용대양도 그 대마지와 제와 제와 마냥비 토로 공을 거도 탑승을 되니 남을 봤으면 대하고는 대를들이 잡도 새끼가 해치고 동대에
And so then whatever practice we engage in, all practice must begin with taking refuge and cultivating the mind of bodhicitta. And so also this practice here. because that is really the method that will melt the ice block and liberate us from the swamps of samsara. So the Buddha had take refuge in the Buddha, and the Buddha taught the Dharma, and the essence of the Dharma is love and compassion. That is the actual antidote to self-grasping. And so we are able to give rise to love and compassion only to a very limited extent. So that limited love and compassion that we have is like the first power. It is the power of our own intention, our own understanding of love and compassion. And then the second power is the power of all the Buddha's compassion. And so here in this context, if we supplicate to Tara, then she's able to help us with her great love and compassion. And so that goes for any deity. Just today we are practicing Tara, but whatever deity you practice, the point is to cultivate the mind of that deity, and that mind is always love and compassion. That is the quality of the deity. It is immeasurable love. We, on the other hand, we are grasping at a self. And so, therefore, whatever deity you practice, the real power from the practice will come only from the deity's mind, which is a mind of love and compassion. So first we develop this relative bodhicitta, and then finally you realize that my own mind is the Buddha. I cannot find a separate Buddha outside of my own mind. So first the Buddha taught the Dharma, and from the Dharma appeared the Sangha. So now you yourself are a Sangha. For example, today when you're taking the Refuge Vow, you become a Sangha. But then when you take refuge, what really is the place of refuge? So the Buddha taught the Dharma, and the essence of that is karma, cause and effect, and also the qualities of love and compassion. So that is one thing we need to cultivate again and again in our Dharma practice. So the three levels of the path, all Dharma practice, is only a method to cultivate bodhicitta where it has not yet arisen, and to not let it decline where it has arisen, and to further increase it. So whatever practice we do, also here, it is necessary to begin the practice always with taking refuge and cultivating the motivation of bodhicitta.
되더니 산속 받을 잡고 사톡들이랑 그 센티 사지인데 들이 고조선 랑 세무 참도 배래 뭐또 받고 안지사와로 그 두기 끊어 잡아 두고서 그리고선 랑 찬사나 사지 고마 포도를 해서 말하리 받고 그것은 랑 세무 참도 하고는 그 사지 이는 매지 그 라세 사지 뭐 뭐시서 타촉세 사촉 받아 받으니 대도 이 매와 맞춰 받아 이렇게 되는마 제가 잡수고 일단 공이 잡히면 세나도 이미 있으라 있었던 거 차게 깨달으세요 톡 이미 이제 한번 잡아서 타촉 이 매와 맞춰 받아 이제 맞춰 쇼고 무슨 양도 슬라데 되는 거래
So then we come to the beginning of the text on page 2 when we actually, first of all, when we take refuge. So first on page 2 it says, so I take refuge to the transcendent conquerors and her host of deities, embodiment of the Buddha, Dharma, and assembly. I and all sentient beings equal to space go for refuge until awakening. First we take refuge in the outer sources of refuge, the 3 jewels. And so then, and so now here we see Tara as representing the 3 jewels. And then on the path, when we engage in practice, then we also see Tara as the embodiment of the 3 roots. And finally, from the perspective of the fruition, she is also the embodiment of the 3 kayas. And so on the path, when we visualize, when we practice, she appears as the Sambhoga Kaya Yidam deity. And from the perspective of the ultimate result, she also is the 3 kayas. And that is her mind is the Dharma Kaya, and the speech, the Sambhoga Kaya, and her body, the Nirmana Kaya. So within the Dharma Kaya and Sambhoga Kaya, so first there is this clear and empty nature of mind. And then out of great compassion, from the radiance of compassion appears the rainbow-like form of the Sambhoga Kaya. And Sambhoga Kaya, the term, it means the enjoyment body. And enjoyment because, so we are the ones who are practicing Tara, we are supplicating Tara. Enjoyment means that we are actually enjoying our own self-projections. So Tara appears to us, but we recognize her to be a self-appearance, so not separate from our own mind, even though she appears to us. And it is just like we are like an ice block, and she is like the ocean. And it is like the ocean feels compassion for the ice block. I'm thinking that the ice block just doesn't understand, or sentient beings, they just don't know that actually their minds and my minds are a single mental continuum. They don't know that because temporarily they are like ice blocks. Temporarily they are obscured. But as you recognize that your own mind is the deity, you become closer and closer to realizing the deity. And that now goes for any deity you practice. All the deities are the embodiment of 9 jewels. That is the 3 jewels, the 3 roots, and the 3 kayas. So it's always important to keep that in mind, whatever deity you practice. And so also that all the deities are included within a single deity. And that is called diversity, having one taste. So here we are saying that now the source of refuge here is Tara. So we take refuge in Tara, who embodies all those sources of refuge. Until attaining enlightenment, or just before in the 7 verses of supplication, it says that non-dual goddess, the goddess of non-dual mind. So until attaining enlightenment, or until you have realized non-duality, you go for refuge. Or in other words, until the ice has completely merged with the ocean water, until attaining enlightenment, I will seek refuge. So also when I was young, for example, I did understand that the preciousness of the 3 jewels, but still, even though, you might know that the 3 jewels are precious, it is also important to know that they are actually non-dual from your own mind. They are not separate from your own mind. So what we ultimately realize when we attain enlightenment is that the Buddha is your own mind. And that is now the final fruition of realizing the 3 kayas. So the empty essence of your mind is the Dharma kaya, and its natural clarity is the Sambhoga kaya, and the all-pervasive compassion, that is the quality of the Nirmana kaya. Milarepa also had said that the 3 kayas are complete within your own mind, and there is no Buddha to be found elsewhere. Also in the 7 verses it says, beings do not recognize their own mind to be the Buddha. And so until that is recognized, until we have recognized non-duality, we seek refuge in Tara. So until we have realized that actually we are not separate from Tara. And until then, again and again, we remember the deity and we engage in practice.
Major Kanyano did Hakundrane. Oh, same the Utela, somebody needed the Jenny, Dante in the Banto Condos.
So then the next line says, may all these wandering beings equal to space, who have been my mothers, have happiness and be spared from all suffering. So that is all beings who have a mind. I cultivate love and compassion for all sentient beings. And when all beings give rise to love and compassion, the self-grasping disappears. So then may they soon be brought to the supreme state of the exalted Mother Tara. So may they realize that their mind is indivisible from Tara. And then from the visualization from within the state of emptiness, in the middle of a vast protection sphere, atop a soothing moonbeam, head of a water lotus in full bloom, a white dumb syllable, and so forth. And so for the visualization now, when there is no more self-grasping, then there is actually nothing that can cause any harm any longer to one. And that is the ultimate, that is this actual protection sphere here. And so that is the protection sphere. And then the sun and the lotus and the moon is that the flower represents being not attached to one's own benefit. And the moon is a sign of love and compassion. And so mainly, as you mentioned also before, you develop a mind of compassion, wishing to benefit sentient beings, and then from within that state of mind, in an instant then, you think transforms into the syllable Dham. And so,
그것도 사고인데 그들아니 좀 먹고 가는 데까지 사게 산이 좀 아디 내가 예측은 이제 이 거기 영상에서 싸워 돈이 다 가까워리 머리 똑똑히 그래서 싸워고 살아려 몸으로 봐봐라 그래도 싸워 돈대로 쳤다 강하게 그지 잘 레게 돼서 싸워 땅 되게 일이 바꿔서 봐 그지 잘 타게 이 가래도 가래 때 가서 못한 오늘 통 저들 말로 이제 장 수고 강 은혜는 깨는 장고에서 그래 가수 라운스에는 샷업만 맞아버려 양 좋아요 잘해요 좀 이제 되니 고마워나 얘는 장고에서.
And so then until the end of page 4 is the visualization. And so now you could develop, you follow those words. So you visualize the form of Tara again and again. So first you develop this mind of compassion for sentient beings. And then instantly, without any other thoughts arising, you visualize Tara. And you visualize, you train in the visualization until it becomes very clear. So the words here of visualization are clear, so you just read those words and focus single-pointedly, try to visualize that. So actually the way you should train in that is that when you are not in meditation session, when you have some empty time, then you can take your text and learn the visualization one by one, and then later when you're actually in session, you can just read through the entire visualization. So as you read and learn about the visualization, think about each of the aspects, like her color, she's like a white, like a snow mountain and so on. And then you visualize all the different parts from top to bottom. And so do that when you have time, when you're not actually doing the practice. So outside of the practice, you're learning about it. You're learning the different parts of your visualization, the ornaments and so on. And then you remember the purity, what actually is meant with those ornaments, what quality they represent and so on. So you learn all of that when you're not actually doing the sadhana practice. And then later when you are doing the sadhana practice, then you read through it directly, and the meaning arises due to your prior training. And basically you should train in the visualization of the practice until the deity appears in your mind very clearly.
So, double seven, 가디는 말도 나상들이 남의 샤타바, their 사와, 뒤들이 딱 그지들이 그래서 싸로 동들이 잘로 그지들이 그래서 딱와, 그는 오지 말고 되게 뭔가 싫은 말 저다래, 그는 사답대, 뭐 집어 팔아서 받다래, 가답대고 주성적 팔아서 받다, 다리 느끼는 지다를 때문에 사고 이게 사람들이 이게 주발이 저체 통화 주발이 코치 가까이 내 양상에 장상을 땅 근데 지방 외로 어디 대사지 람세 샤트바 가면 그리 가는 마산 람세 잘 소마타도 들때 동데 상무도 대 샤요고요 딱봐 제 통적이 되니까 오 어디는 저는 용어가 나타나고요 야 사도도 되는 양들의 지방 세나타로 배제도 용띠 딱바지 바지 또 나바사와 데르라 야타 양들사 드니 타발라라 드니 상태사 드니 비바지 드니 드니 다 사와 타바냐 다르시 다랑 가디라 람스테도 바차나 드니 바지 자기 집이 뭐 공부도 막 우리 집이 뭐 말이라 말이 상태 성령고요. 야, 정말 세대 사제의 성을 생기는 사제의 생긴 많이 집이 뭐 생기는 시스. 정성을 때문에 그래 예사래. 얘가 다음에 로봇 다리스 아마 다 나오면 리스크 피고 상고 야야 따따 나지 피고 스티버치 때문에 고통을 맡아서 삼 들이라라 이치치래 이렇게 말이 되나 리에서 비키 이바디 다 리문에 다사도 치료에 대해서 사와 딱 봐서 이바서 사와 딱 네 사dob지 저봐 사dob지 저참 그게 다버지 파신 포도라 네 용기 대부분 다고 당연히 예를 기다리지 하고 도요라 대상들을 잡고래
So the first aspect of the generation stage of the deity practice is to visualize the deity clearly. And clarity is achieved or accomplished when the deity can instantly appear in your mind. So for example, when you just close your eyes, instantly the deity can appear in your mind. That is when you have achieved the clarity aspect of the generation stage. And then you come to the recollection of purity. So you think about, you reflect upon the pure meaning, the actual meaning that is represented by the outer ornaments of the deity. So you can look at the image and go through each of those elements of the deity. For example, the five-fold crown ornament is a sign of having transformed the five afflictive emotions into the five wisdoms. And then the bracelets, the wristlets, are, for example, a sign of having perfected generosity. And then the anklets on the ankles are a sign of having mastered ethical discipline. And so each of the various ornaments of the deity represents, for example, one of the 6 paramitas. So you can also learn more about that when you read other scriptures that explain those qualities. And so you go through each of those qualities and you learn about the deity's qualities. And so you keep remembering purity until that becomes very clear in your mind. And then in an instant, even without having to reflect any longer, the moment the deity is there, the pure meaning that you have previously reflected upon then naturally arises. So then naturally you know, for example, that the crown ornament represents the 5 wisdoms, and the ornaments generosity, which means the purification of stinginess, and so on. So all of that arises instantly and naturally when you perfect, when you master that step of recollecting purity. So first you have the clear visualization until that is stable. And then you learn about all the qualities, the pure meaning of the deity. And finally, also, most importantly, you must attain stability in gaining confidence, like a divine pride, the confidence of actually being the deity. So even though we practice the deity, there is still some doubt as to whether or not am I really Tara. And so first of all, the Buddha himself had already said, all beings are actually Buddhas. So actually, my mind and Tara's mind are really one to begin with. So that's the first understanding that arises. And then you reflect, but then I have become obscured by this adventitious stain of self-grasping. So now when I give rise to a wish to benefit sentient beings, again and again, and that always remains in my mind, then actually my mind is not any different from Tara's mind. So I really am Tara. So this is how you gain confidence of actually being Tara. And then the confidence is so firm that even if other people will tell you otherwise, it would not affect your confidence in actually being the deity. So that is when you have attained stability or divine pride in accomplishing the deity. And so in this way, you gradually train in each of the steps in accomplishing the deity.
Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum.
We're laughing at you. Because we're not the custom. Yeah, I went to the restroom. I don't need to go.
So just before 4 o'clock, when we start a new session, we will do a group picture together with Rinpoche, and after that we will start with the refuge ceremony.
Oh, okay. Urst namn? Oh, направил Open in Safari. Eddie. R I oops
收获大吗？啊，你叫什么名字来着？我忘了。绿微啊，夫人有点像，这样。夫人本身英国在Michigan那个城市的阿尔。
Okay, that's me.
Why you in it?
Yeah, okay. I should have put down my name because my fake email address.
I sent you photos when you were in Montal Opera. I took the pictures of you.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Oh, thank you. The lady.
Very dressed up.
Thank you. No, the lady who came from Mongolia, she just gifted me this money just before Rinpoche arrived. So I said, I'll try on lunchtime. She said, why don't you put it on right now? I want to see it. And I just put it on, came, and then mandala offering was like, I mean, so great time.
Perfect.
And I was wondering, and how did she figure right my size? And I asked her, you were thinking about me when you will buy this dress? Yes. Oh, okay, thank you.
Wow.
Well, very nice, right?
Yeah, beautiful.
So you guys just hanging around and...
We're gonna go for the airport soon.
Airplane.
But you wanna finish it?
No,
No?
we
Oh.
can't stay right till 5. No.
Oh, what's the airplane? I mean time?
7. We need to leave a little, probably 4:30. Like we need to leave.
Or do all the luggage things?
So we just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys take a picture when he was sitting there? No, he didn't have a chance because people were lining up there.
I know. It's okay. What we did, my parents were here, and we introduced my parents to my mom.
Oh, yeah.
He hugged and kissed me. He kissed my mom. It was very good. It was a very good blessing. It was so
Oh, I
amazing.
couldn't see your parents because I was rushing.
Yeah,
up
they
and
were
down.
here for the morning. They had the empowerment.
So great. Okay.
Maybe, I don't know, is that the card?
Which card?
Can we ask?
Yeah. What card are you asking?
Milwaukee Avenue 高尔夫交界再往南走，Plaza Denial 咱们微信嘛，既然是有缘是吧？这个碰到2次了吧？比较耿立威，比较冰然。你现在跟谁学的？上师这几天一再跟他们学，原来。一期刊布，你现在更主要的是一期刊布一样，因为一期刊布就是垃圾刊布一个选出来的，一期刊布也是垃圾刊布选的，一期刊布讲的非常好，非常详，非常细，现在这个石头就为咱们打坐观修很多的一期刊布的讲法，所以他们在我眼里都是255的，按说我都挺难去的，在我学。我得学会。
Guess we can take it already.
Get her down.
She took them. No, it's still there.
It's still这个三位大德就是这辈子就给我学了，我相信他们这个这个是非常非常大千万不行，这个是什么来这第3回，你像港币没有这条。这个感觉比我早，微是微。 It's not
信息的交流啊，比较好办。当然呢，就是说，这个养殖区有好多关于这方面大热养殖产品，就是有的时候，因为它不繁复嘛，也是这个本地性的反馈会非常大，所以我觉得这也是这学佛这个是信息上变化了，需要有多少的这个讲究，那个学会这个学会卷走，但是这个现在保持一到这个。刚才来的人不太多呀，我们估计就是来上给家才建的，10月份才开地方才开的，修个才5、6次吧。当时他们在学解决，咱就喝点水果。
你要食生粿，我晓生粿。The 4 million prayer book there. Can we put it on the table?
Here, you just hold it out and I'll...
There's no table?
Why don't we put it on the 2 chairs? Lay it up here. Put it on these 2 chairs. It's fresh.
對結車啊，前面等。因為佢結車咧，我發點解會記啊？拿來 Q， 我別太細啲。We're gonna put it in the car already.
Oh, okay. You want me to put it in the car?
No, Antidote is going with me. Why don't you give us the key so you can go out? Then you can watch all this stuff here. Oh. Okay, go.
If I try to sit on one of these, it's way too hard. Right.
Peter,
So yeah, I'm really sick of
Thank you. Sure. 你们要不出去叫吧？出去叫吧，往这里出来。
我在这里动。
我是恁伫在外口，咱出去采光，你着讲去新山盐面就是去啊。我若无要后久也热。我是说，可是要叫伊，我叫伊明仔来新山，伊说明仔来时。我没摸到伊说明仔来时就过来啦。即按若无咱就按正常无要下礼拜就无人了。下礼拜要落雨。
裤腿接出来。
有车有没有？那个天气上天出去。佢哋咪啲線霜，但係多啲隻咯，菜乾隻咯。然後冇菜啦，呢度先。You want to come to the restaurant and eat stuff? To the cemetery. This year.
You're tired.
All the time. What we give in song? I say, do we have two? I say, what is this? We can't. 伊阮囝較乖啊，阮囝就是你無要去就來去，我說咁是也亂是袂啊。阮囝較乖。
No, he's very easy going. That's why.
伊交93。我說伊男的交93，這個都會交我3海first。
Yes, whatever it is. Whatever it does.
That is like you, right?
No, anniversary. All of a sudden, there was our change.
Amen, right? Just amen. Don't ask.
Aha.
Go to shopping. 無想煮啲啦，其他就係啲無配，有問題出衫。你教人講會，我啲教人講會。
搞嘢。
你要標教自己人喺教講會，就係你講出咩 ？I wonder what they're talking about. 而家嗰二所人喺教講會啊，個人喺教 看到我面嘅驚，想過做馬哈卡拉面。呀哦。
Okay, sit you man. I should tell you, this one I like your bridge go.
Oh, gracias.
Make you rest to la office saya. Tempat makan kasi aso. Kamu sih ya? Si Jin Zhao, si Jin Am. 我只腳趾好爽，所以幾樣咪牛嚟啊！要嚟要去我哋行路，其實我 expect 咯，我就自己愛啊！要我哋我真係要 ，please don't hit me. Please don't hit me.
笑誒，都有笑。
What makes you think I'm gonna hit you? Kasi wala healing ka na may martial arts eh kami siya.
Kanan baton eh.
I was saying because my office so whenever I cross, particularly when it's late at night, I decide one day I was curling my up about this one, and it was really light. I was twirling it. I was walking very fast. It was closing like this. I wanted to ask her actually, like, what you doing? Don't hit me.
Beni kure dedi.
You don't really are into martial arts.
I'm so happy, but you know where this is.
Because the bridge has but you can only come out in so he wanted to shoving in my heart. Well, I was just doing, I didn't even realize that. Rainy day and it was kind of dark, 5:30 at night. Please don't hit me. When are we going to get the refuge dance?
After the rain.
He came early, so everybody went there. One taste. Justin was late, so when he was about to line up, then he wanted to start. So I think
I'll be there.
so 出来了。
Facebook 的还你吧 Facebook 的还你吧
Rinpoche. First thing, just come over. Yeah, make draw a picture.
Oh, good. Okay.
There are Jana.
I thought we were doing refuge. Good picture. Yeah. So let's go and do which picture with Garchen.
Can you all come up for the group picture?
I just hold on to my mala. I mean my katha. We need it later.
Maybe Rinpoche is gonna stay on his seat, and maybe you can come up. So all of those, if you're receiving refuge, you can just stay on your seat, on your place. You don't have to come up. No need to sit right in front of Rinpoche. Just sit on your seat, and later you will come up for the hair cutting ceremony. Can you, those of you who are taking the refuge vow for the first time, who are receiving the vow today, can you raise your hand, please? So in general, actually, wherever, in whichever Buddhist tradition you are receiving the refuge vow, it is actually always the same. So the three jewels are always the same. So it doesn't really matter in what tradition you have received the vow before. But then here we also have this card, this refuge card. And that card actually clarifies a lot of the meaning of the refuge. And it is a response to many questions that people asked Rinpoche. And so to clarify all of these points, Rinpoche, he designed this new card. But then in general, all the Buddhist refuge is the same. The card, the refuge card that you will receive, that explains the outer, inner, and the secret aspects of refuge. And so normally in general, when we take a refuge vow, we are mostly just introduced to the outer sources of refuge, the three jewels. And then that being the case, one might also think then that the three jewels are so far away from oneself. Then you might think that the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha are somewhere out there and I must take refuge in them. But actually, that is not all there is to it, because the one who takes the refuge vow, actually you yourself already possess the seeds of those three jewels within you. And then by relying on the 3 jewels, they provide a method to attain that state of enlightenment. And so all of that is explained very well in the Refuge card. And then also the Refuge card contains a name, a Dharma name. And amongst many different cards, you receive that card, that name that is karmically destined for you. So it's really very meaningful. And also, this card explains how within the Refuge vow, the 3 levels of the path of individual liberation, Bodhisattva, and Vajrayana are also complete. So the card is really excellent, and you can also ask your own spiritual teachers and questions about it.
사제의 뒤숨도 좀 것들이 사제 사야 동설 먹고래 대탑지대 송지대 추조래 추제라 뒤숨들이 대바다 마음과 다다 탑지 사제가 송지 찍봐도 요 말이 강례제 추제들이 추로 망보를 추제 풍보 열체제도 레랑 망보요리 대탑지 힘보 가래래 변은 저자 타바고 오마들로나 이 전부 말링이야 요렇게 크게 힘보게 하고 거래 대회를 사제 탑지 역할을 다다 소속을 남고서는데 당하 잡도 막 쇼고 좀 로티 시랍티 저다 마도버가는 남시들이 시랍들들이 잡도 막 쇼고 좀 박차지 않아마라고 잡도 막 시리 박차지니 대체로 요구요래 놀 시랍들라 들이 난그 사제의 저 시랍들이 다보면 쇼고 삼고 말도 토송 삼고 타반 송고 사제 성규지 말에 납시들이 이제 난그 사제의 저
So there is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And for the Buddha, there are millions of Buddhas, the Buddhas of the 3 times. And all of these Buddhas have taught the Dharma in the past, in the present, and in the future. And even though there are so many, all that they have really said in essence is the same, one and the same thing. So in general, there are a lot of Dharma teachings. There are 84,000 divisions of Dharma teachings, and then each of these has further divisions. But what is the essence of all those Dharma teachings? For example, if you have the milk of 100 like female yaks, trees or cows, then the essence of that would be to extract butter from them. So we need to understand the essence of the Dharma, and that is the cause of enlightenment, or the inner 3 jewels. First of all, you have a wish, I want to receive the Refuge vow. That is your inner wisdom awareness. And not having realized its nature, it is called the consciousness. But it is an imprint that you bring with you from a previous life. So due to that imprint, you now have a wish to take the Refuge vow. And so that awareness that thinks that is the inner Buddha. It is the cause of enlightenment or your wisdom. So first you have a wish to receive the Refuge vow. And then you think, now I have received it. And then now I want to keep the refuge precepts. And so that continuum, that consciousness is the same. And it is always the same mind. And that mind that has that wish, that is your inner Buddha, or the cause of attaining enlightenment.
Shedang Serna the Moxon race. Either Shedang the Serna the Tungi Bambishi. There are the Pimbans of the Ore. 피마들이 또먹고로래 또먹되거든요. 여기 저기 하고 요 말이 새 동네 하고 요래 동네 가리 용으로 다 남도 봐 차다도게 용으로 하고 요지 네 동네 저 가리 봐 하고 요 말이 데르티네 다때 랑도르고 시랍데 사지를 먹고 나는 오 야와를 저 세당을 세당 코란 거 랑이 야로 사온 거나 야로 사온 세당을 했어 예다가 사온 센나를 했어 또 먹고 또 로고 사온 또 먹으래 제 하고네 이 저도 밤에 봐지고 나 밤에도 서 파티시 파요 파티 돈이도 그래 좋고요 바요 배들이 세당도 센나기 때 예다가 야와가 저기 봐 하고는 들나면 세분을 사온도 돼 하고는 들들 도는 세르니 뭐래 저봐 세상이 뭐라 이봐 들지 냠스는 시거리 대 시외들이 되지 냠스는 소나 이 세상다 세나밀라 야와라이다 저 돈요 말이 나도 좀 싫어하게 되네 레드리 시거리 준비 시바데 데베죠 삼테인 봐 누구는 다디인 봐 대시기 요래 대체로 도로를 좀 좋고요 레드리 야와이다 도로서 무슨 쪽이지 나도 좀 싫어하게 좋고요 왜 사지진 정보 싫어를 잡지 저데 들으면 좀 싫어도 싸지 못하고 남그 사지에 대해서 한 거지.
And so first in our refuge card says, I take refuge in transcendent awareness, the heart essence of Buddha. And so how does transcendent awareness or this wisdom awareness, how does it protect you when we take refuge in it? It protects you from not falling into the 3 lower realms. It protects you from not falling into the hell realm or being born as a hungry spirit or as an animal. And so what are the causes? Why do we take birth in these lower states of existence? The causes are the emotions of hatred, of stinginess, and of ignorance. And ignorance doesn't understand the fault in the afflictive emotions. And in fact, with an ignorant, deluded mind, we even think that the afflictive emotions are beneficial. So that is the mind of ignorance. It doesn't understand the causes, that the afflictive emotions are the cause of suffering. We do understand suffering. We do experience, for example, heat and cold as something that is undesirable. We know what is suffering, but we don't know what are the causes of suffering. And so the Buddha therefore introduced us to the wisdom, the discriminating wisdom that knows what to adopt and what to abandon. And so with that wisdom, you know that the cause of birth in hell is anger. Anger by nature is the seed of the hell realm. And the seed of taking birth as a hungry spirit is stinginess. And the seed for the animal realm is ignorance. So if you know that, then you will recognize when you have become unmindful. When you're unmindful and awareness arises again, you recognize, oh, I have become unmindful. And that mindfulness then is what protects you from the suffering of the animal realm. Or if you're mindful, you're protected from the hell realm or hungry spirit realm. So with mindfulness, you understand that the seeds for these lower realms are within your own mind, and understanding that, being aware of them, you're able to turn away from them, let them go, and apply antidotes. For example, the antidote to stinginess is to practice generosity, or the antidote to anger or hatred is to practice patience. And then if you actually put that into practice and you become free of those afflictions, you're free of anger and free of stinginess, then there are no more causes to be born in hell or as a hungry spirit. So this discriminating awareness that knows what to adopt and what to abandon it basically knows the workings of karma, cause and effect. And knowing or understanding karma means that you know that love and compassion are the only causes of happiness. And you know that self-grasping is the only cause of suffering. And knowing that, through that wisdom, the discriminating wisdom that knows that, in that way, your wisdom awareness protects you from birth in hells or as a hungry spirit or as an animal. So we say, I take refuge in transcendent awareness, the heart essence of the Buddha. Here we must recognize the inner Buddha to be my own mindfulness. And mindfulness is most important. You must sustain a state of mindfulness.
차도를 라미송 마지를 라송 일단 감성들이 호발이 다 대답들이 동네에 쪽거나 강을 들들이 취재 정보 3년제를 잡던 조지 대설들 강의 송들이 마지 다지의 집발이 또 먹고 마지 나온 잡아 열었더니 말을 대화고 대는 도차 대리시 봐요 왔던 도차 텔레 마소 텔레 텔라람도 대화 마소 이는 차도지 텔레 타도 텔라도 봤다 답을 다 차도를 송어들이 아제다 차도를 송어 답을 말라 동해만 보여래 대타 지금 이 뭐들 사바든 이제 줄을 지디 텔레 다배만 줘요래 텔레 추풍 제체계 동대 이제 송고 소리 추적 홍보 제체계 동대 녀몽이 뭘 적을했어 추풍 제체 녀몽이 뭘 적도 강의 유무분이 몰랐더니 참만 로고래 너는 유무분이 뭘 취든 로고래더니 유무가 탐지다가 나디면은 이 사바는 휴지 계획이 나디 좀 되게 다동을 차반비 발기피를 놓지 이제는 마제메가 차 데이터 사바는 휴지 마제메가 차도메가 또 마제 차도 선때 사바 휴지를 되게 매반 로고요래 이제 추진이 뭐 3년계를 잡수 줬어.
And so then, even if we close the doors of falling into the 3 lower realms, there still is a lot of suffering in the 3 higher realms. For example, as human beings, we experience the suffering of birth, of aging, of illness, and of death. And then also there is the suffering of change. And gods, for example, experience the suffering of change and falling to the lower realms. And jealous gods experience the suffering of constant quarreling and fighting. And so what are the causes of all of that suffering? It is pride, it is jealousy, and desire. Desire primarily leads to birth as a human being, and jealousy to birth as a jealous god or a demigod, and pride leads to birth as a god. And then also we speak about the 3 planes of samsaric existence. So all of that samsaric existence has the nature of suffering, and in order to be protected from all of that suffering, we take refuge in the Dharma. And it says, I take refuge in compassion, the heart essence of Dharma. And so, for example, pride, and the essence of pride is self-grasping. And the essence of ignorance is actually pride, a self-grasping pride. It is you're prideful in yourself, an I. The I is most important above all. I want to be happy. The I wants to get anything that it desires. And as a result of this attachment to various desirable things, we take birth as a human being. And then if we don't get what we desire, then we get jealous at others. And most of the fighting and the suffering, the conflict in this world amongst the humans is really caused by that, by this desire and the jealousy and the pride. So then if only love and compassion arise, in that moment the self has disappeared. Lord Jigten Sumgön had said the 84,000 Dharma teachings are one in being an antidote to the afflictive emotions. So whatever we practice, it must become an antidote to the afflictive emotions. And the root of all afflictive emotions is self-grasping. So therefore, when love and compassion arise, self-grasping disappears, is defeated. And then when there is no more selfishness, then there is no more attachment to your own benefit. An altruistic mind arises. And when you really care about others, you will not be prideful. You will not be jealous naturally. So in this way, naturally, through this mind of love and compassion, the afflictions of desire, of jealousy and pride, they naturally disappear. So therefore, I take refuge in compassion, the heart essence of Dharma. And then I take refuge in spiritual friends, the heart essence of companions. So we have all kinds of companions in this life. We have, for example, our relatives, our family, and our friends, and so on. But amongst all the different companions, the supreme companions to have are the teachers of both systems, in the mundane system and the Dharma, the spiritual system. And if we show respect to our teachers, then the qualities of that teacher will arise in our own mind stream. And so through our teachers, our worldly teachers and our spiritual teachers, we achieve happiness temporarily and also ultimately. Temporarily, through our worldly teachers, we achieve the happiness of this life, the comforts of this life. And through our spiritual teachers, we also achieve the happiness beyond this life until we attain the state of enlightenment. So through the teachers in both systems, we achieve happiness in this and future lives. So of the various companions, our teachers of both traditions, worldly and also spiritual, those teachers are the essence, the most important of all companions.
하고 요래 습지 담질 대신 요거 하고는 니 다낭 종은 마동 장소 이제 다과리에서 하고서 이제는 마그 도바야 차고 요래 이제 도다 제모 소당 화수 도바가 스납 리바티터 세는 톱고 요래
And so then also the refuge card is explained the benefits of taking refuge. And now, first of all, when we take refuge, first of all, we are giving up harming others entirely. We are giving up all harm towards others. And that is the essence of all the individual liberation vows or the pratimoksha vows. And it arises on the basis of understanding that if I harm others, I'm actually harming myself. And so therefore you think I will not cause any harm towards others intentionally in this life, knowing that harming others is actually harming myself. So it says in the card, when harm to others and its cause are abandoned, the individual liberation vows are complete. So then on top of that, on top of not harming others, then next we also cultivate a wish to benefit others, an altruistic mind. So we develop immeasurable love. And here it says, when help to others and its cause are accomplished, the bodhisattva's vows are complete. By cultivating love and compassion, self-grasping will disappear. And eventually, when immeasurable love arises, you will attain the bhumis of a bodhisattva. And so then, when immeasurable love has arisen, then you begin to understand that all sentient beings really have the potential or the cause for attaining enlightenment. So it says here then, thirdly, when one is adept at the pure perception of the vessel and contents, the mantric vows are complete. So because you understand that all beings possess Buddha nature, they have the potential to attain enlightenment, based on that you realize that everything, the entire outer universe and all beings are actually pure. And even though they appear impure temporarily, they actually are pure by nature. And you know that based on knowing that all beings possess Buddha nature. So developing a pure perception towards the universe and all beings, that really is the essence of all the tantric vows. And so in this way, by receiving the refuge vow, together with that, you are also receiving the blessings and the powers of the vows of the three levels of the path, of the individual bodhisattva and the Vajrayana paths. Guitar, guitar chip on Royore, Mola Careta, drug to Priore. The little dark summer top, the music put up the Saji Tamil, Rangasabat Labarta, what he talked to Horatin, Saji Tamil top the Wachayore, the Rani should on Monatana. The treaty the doctor, the Saji Saji, Saji, Jet, Lick up the mail court to Priore. When the job to my Shumaki, but guitar, the Piumuchi Tongri, Chimbo Yore, Dobachu guitar, Lap Chimbo Piore, what about the song Yore, the data, the job Doba, Piu, then it jumped on by the
나와사지 배터리 데 로나 이 타톡싱을 신 디아치는 로라 나데브레오리 라리 소디마데트리 파스포르오리 드리테 대기 오늘들이 다가 그러나 그들이 마음 빨라 타라는 디아치 시작하는 로스쿠요레 then not
so if you understand the meaning of those verses here on the card, then naturally you will not cause any intentional harm towards anyone. Even you will even give up the slightest harm towards anyone. And then on top of that, if you can help them, you will help them. But if not, at least you will not harm them. And you will always have a wish to benefit them. And that wish to benefit them, that is really most precious. And that wish is something you should never separate. And if you never separate from that wish, then as a result of that state of mind, you will always find happiness temporarily and ultimately. And so for the benefits of taking the refuge vow, and the vow in general, and when you take a refuge vow, it is like you become a citizen of the Buddhist country. So let's say like Buddhism is like a country, like America, for example. When you become an American citizen, then along with that, you also attain certain rights, like citizen rights and so on. And the rights that you gain here when you become a citizen of the three jewels is it arises out of great merit. For example, this Drebong Geshe had said before, mentioned that before, that through that aspiration of having that vow, even a small virtue can become a very vast virtue. So through the power of aspiration, it can become very, very vast. So first of all, it is because taking refuge in the three jewels, we then connect to three kinds of powers that help us accomplish the aspirations. First is the power of our own intention, our own pure intention. And then secondly is the power of all of the Buddha's compassion. So then we also connect to the power of all the Buddha's compassion. And so then whatever what virtuous prayers we do then becomes accomplished. And then thirdly is the power of the Dharma Dhatu, and that is we realize that on the basis, Buddhas and sentient beings are actually one. And knowing that, you know that beings therefore can become liberated from their temporary suffering. And so when you take a vow, like the refuge vow, any virtue that you practice after having taken a vow makes it much more powerful. So there is a big difference actually in a virtue that you practice without having any vows and a virtue that you practice because you have a lot of vows, based on any vows. So once you have taken any vow, then after that, whatever virtue you practice becomes much more powerful. So we mentioned that before many times. And so now, also for a benefit now, coming back to the Buddhist country, when you take the refuge vow, so you receive this card here, this refuge card, and that is your ticket, your plane ticket to go to Dewa-Chen. And the 37 Bodhisattva practices are your passport that helps you go there. So in the future, as a result, we can all take birth or go to that pure land of Dewa-Chen.
로그를 빼셔 삼세리 내가 게드위 바이 저는 파고 게드위지 게드위 바라 다 돈이 거래 망고성이야 심파과들 가리 파치르바 당시 그러고 조라 철저하고 파세와요래 이 게드위 바가 참아는 다 돈이가 세와요 이 지는 철저하고 파철 높았던 거 파 컨트롤하고 게임다 철석도 높았던 거 제가 파 주바 본 거예요. 너는 삼재에서 조바지 봐요. 되게 누이 봐야 돼. 바다들이 드린데 고송다 라동도 상기 직발이 다 하셨다 지고리 이 대화진으로 남을 중에 좀 빼차 먹고 빼차 상제리 이유 피고 그래 드린데다는 성질을 라기 빼차 사야 먹고 사도 그래 내가 가서 가라 제가 가서 빼차 먹고 말이 기한 하면 된다고 빼차 먹고 사야 돼 가라 돕고요 그랬지.
And so then also if you want to go to Garchen, if you want to travel there to book your ticket, you need a lot of money. And so the money is love. And so now once you have taken refuge, you should think that I am a Sangha, I am a noble Sangha. And in general, we speak about a lot of qualities that a Sangha should have. But in brief, there are really two main qualities. And so what is it that makes the Sangha like noble or superior? So ordinary people, they love others, but only if the others also love them. And so if your friend loves you, as long as they love you, you will love them. But for a Sangha will love everyone, regardless of who they are. They will love their enemies and their friends equally. Ordinary people, when you harm them, when you hurt them, they will get angry. But a Sangha will not get angry. And no matter how much someone hurts you, a Sangha will practice patience. So in brief, the two qualities a noble Sangha must possess is love and patience. And then also one more thing that you will receive is this little pin with the liberation by seeing mantra. And that becomes like your badge, belonging to this country. And the mantra on that pin is the same as the wristlet, the armband, or the red sticker that we put on our doors and so on. It's very precious. And so if you want to go to Garchen, you need to first make the money to afford the ticket. And the money is love and compassion. And the badge that you're wearing, this pin, this is what makes the money. So you can naturally accumulate like millions of dollars of love so that you can go to the Pure Land of Garchen. For example, I myself I can, for example, now travel to many different places and people give me food and they pay for my ticket and all of that. And that's because of the love, money, and the merit that I have accumulated in previous lives already. Then we will repeat the Refuge Vows.
마시 받어서 양물을 로직라서 양물을 다와지 지도송 부터 이자 차려서 비용을 에 강토터 송랑한 그 들이 지마테 상속 받듯이 상속 센터 주하다 보자네 들이 다니도 상마제도 받도 상속 센터 속에서 양마 당지 이 가시께서 kontrol하는 람상들이 니자 발마 주고 샤바체 거래 샤바체를 상속 센터 수도를 또 상속 센터 따고 야고래 이도 공원이 됐대 다도는 이제 레전드들이 야패 참만냥도 말랑 이제 이바탕지 라산이 욕토고요.
And so we are going to repeat the Refuge Vow, and there is two prayers that we will repeat. And the first one is the vow, or the prayer that a vow that we take from now onward until we die. And that actually means that you can think to yourself, you can bring to mind any vow that you think you're able to keep, or a few vows, or the 4 root vows, and so on. You just think whichever vow you're able to keep, you think that to yourself, and then think that I'm going to keep this vow, ideally, for as long as I live. But if you can't keep that vow for the rest of your life, you can also take a vow for a year, or for a month, or even just for one single day, for 24 hours. there's many benefits even from taking a vow for one day. So you just think to yourself whichever vow you can, you think you're able to keep. And then in the second supplication, you think that I'm going to sustain and protect bodhicitta and patience from now onward until attaining enlightenment. So from now onward until attaining enlightenment, I will not forsake bodhicitta, even at the cost of my life. And so if it happens that you get angry, for example, then you should confess that and purify that without allowing even one day to pass by. So the same day you should confess it. And if you do that, then your bodhicitta will be restored. So what the most important vow really is to uphold bodhicitta, to never separate from bodhicitta. And so then after we have repeated those two supplications, then you can come up one by one for get your piece of hair clipped, but you don't have to all come at the same time. So just come up one by one, and in the meantime, you can all still stay seated in your places. Yeah. So now please repeat first. Noble One, please grant me your attention from this time on and for as long as I live. I who am called, and say your name, go for refuge in the Buddha, who is supreme among two-legged beings. I go for refuge in the Dharma, which is supreme among those free of attachment. I go for refuge in the Sangha, which is supreme among assemblies. For as long as I live, Noble One, please accept me as a lay adherent to the threefold refuge, who observes a few precepts. Master, please grant me your attention from this time on and until the essence of enlightenment manifests. I who am called, and say your name, go for refuge in the Buddha, who is supreme among two-legged beings. I go for refuge in the Dharma, which is supreme among those free of attachment. I go for refuge in the Sangha, which is supreme among assemblies, until the essence of enlightenment manifests. Master, please accept me as a lay adherent to the threefold refuge, who observes one or more of the 5 precepts.
Tavino. I read the petrol.
Okay, so please come up one by one and to receive the refuge vow, and also in the meantime we are going to continue to repeat the concluding prayer, so please continue to repeat as you come up. Training, emulating all of the conquerors, may I bring excellent conduct to total completion and engage in wholly pure, stainless, ethical conduct that never degenerates and is without fault in this and every successive lifetime. May I never be separated from the 3 precious jewels for the sake of Dharma May I be unstinting with even my life force and engage the purpose of sentient beings through great determination. May precious, supreme bodhicitta become manifest where it has not yet arisen. May that which has arisen not degenerate, but ever further increase in this and every successive lifetime. May I not be separated from the supreme teachings of the unequaled Drikung Ratnashri, and may glorious gurus take me into their care in all rebirths. May I never be parted from authentic gurus and always enjoy the Dharma's glories, having fully completed the qualities of the grounds and paths. May I swiftly attain Vajradhara state in each and every rebirth. May I be of noble lineage, clear-minded, devoid of pride, greatly compassionate, and respectful of the Guru. Thus may I observe the Samaya with the glorious Guru. Whatever aspiration prayers have been made for the sake of sentient beings, from ever excellent great Vajradhara on down to the kind root Guru, may every one of them be swiftly accomplished. So by clipping off a piece of your crown hair, Rinpoche is actually opening the door to the entrance to the crown chakra, and this is the door that the consciousness must leave from later at the time of death.
Tiger. I have to confess because I gave somebody the bad finger.
So be charged. So charged.
여기 아까 있지. 아까 있나?
Namn som det. Sitt slipp.
Ask question, asking you, asking you. Have a comment. I have question.
I don't know, I can't ask.
So if you would like to offer a katak to Rinpoche, now is the time. So also in the meantime, we will recite together dedication prayers in the prayer book, the page on page 17. Just that one page on page 17. So please turn to the dedication prayers on page 17. Glorious, holy, venerable, precious, kind, root and lineage lamas, divine assembly of yidams and assemblies of Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, yogins, yoginis, dakinis, dwelling in the 10 directions, please hear my prayer. May the virtues collected in the 3 times by myself and all sentient beings in samsara and nirvana, and the innate root of virtue, not result in the 8 worldly concerns, 4 causes of samsara, or rebirth as a Shravaka or Pradeka Buddha. May all mother sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me and mine, obstructors who harm, misleading Maras, and the hordes of demons experience happiness, be separated from suffering, and swiftly attain unsurpassed, complete, and precious Buddhahood. By the power of this vast root of virtue, may I benefit all beings through my body, speech, and mind. May the afflictions of desire, hatred, ignorance, arrogance, and jealousy not arise in my mind. May attachment, fame, reputation, wealth, honor, and concern for this life not arise for even a moment. May my mind stream be moistened by loving kindness, compassion, and bodhicitta, and through that may I become a spiritual master with good qualities equal to the infinity of space. May I gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. May the torment of suffering not arise even at the time of my death. May I not die with negative thoughts. May I not die confused by wrong view. May I not experience an untimely death. May I die joyfully and happily in the great luminosity of mind as such, and the pervading clarity of Dharmata. May I in any case gain the supreme attainment of Mahamudra at the time of death or in the bardo. And then we go back to page 12, the long life prayers. Just that one page, page 12. For this realm, encircled by snow-covered mountains, you are the source of every benefit and bliss without exception. Tenzin Gyatso, you who are one with Avalokiteshvara, may you remain steadfast until samsara's end. Embodiment of the 3 precious jewels, Padmapani, who holds the teachings of the victorious one. Seeing the all-goodness meaning with the wisdom eye, May you who are spontaneously established activities live long for hundreds of kalpas. Noble Manjushri, the Lord of Speech, who manifests to hold the teachings of the Triple Gem, who raises the lamp of the sage's teachings, may you who are the light of the Dharma live long for hundreds of kalpas. The one known in the Holy Land as Arya Deva, emanated into the Gar clan of eastern Tibet as Chidingpa, the heart son of Chigden Sumgan. May the life of glorious Garchen remain steadfast for 100 eons. You who are richly endowed with the glorious wealth of Dharma knowledge, who through reflecting and meditating have actualized the self-aware absolute reality, and shine with the 100,000 light rays of ethical discipline of the Buddha Dharma. May you, Khenchen Ratnadvaza, live long.
我要等那个assistant 一个红包啊，你要订红包啊？对，这个 assistant 小年那个故意的，你都会。
在这边可以不要做，我有个surgery要做，那他们会 speak。
I just want to say thank you to Garchen Rinpoche for coming to Chicago and giving us so much love this weekend, and we hope that he'll return to Chicago and give us teachings in the future. I want to thank everyone that's volunteered this weekend, traveled from afar, helped purchase items from the Dharma store and Tonkas that will help our building fund for Drupal Rinchen Dorje to establish the Drikung Kagyu Center in Chicago and have a permanent home. We'd also like to ask everyone to help us out with regular membership. That will help us have more consistent programs and invite more teachers to Chicago. So again, I want to thank you very much. Thank you to Drupal Rinchen Dorje Rinpoche for inviting Garchen Rinpoche. And we thank, above all, Garchen Rinpoche for the teachings this weekend. Thank you.
What's the question? I have a question, but the diagnosis I did a surgery. I speak the surgery. Morangi, you cover Morangi, you know, such a device and you know, then what is Chila and you I have a headache. You have a
Everybody sang Garchen Rinpoche.
Get in now. 6 years, huh? He was here 6 years ago. He was here 6 years ago. Oh. Okay. Let's go. And the orchids. Maybe you could come back.
Do you need another one?
Yeah. I think we should throw away the water. Throw away the water. No, we can throw it outside. Use your bag. Be careful. Justin, do you need us to help? What do you want us to do? We have quite a few things. Oh, you have enough all covered.
We might have enough. Actually, once we get things in boxes, we're going to be taking stuff out to the truck.
Oh, okay. You want us to help with the truck?
I mean, it's up to you. But we may not have things packed for maybe 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah. You have to talk to him.
Okay.
Because he's leaving tomorrow.
Okay.
Incense to where? Incense out. I have it at the Dharma center, but okay, sure, no problem. Are you gonna stay? Yeah.
Do you need help? I can help you to clean it up. I can help you. I mean, we have a couple of people staying here. You want me to clean up the table? Put the table on it.
And this one with the food and the costume? Yes. I don't know. They don't want to hold the water.
Oh, the other one?
Yes.
You want us to help? Yeah. Okay, so what do you want us to do?
Yeah, of course. This that's all the turn is in order. And the rest goes to that side. Okay. If anyone guys last place, they can last over. Yeah. One each. Yeah. So yeah, you pick one. Yeah. Each one of them.
Sorry, put them on the sidewalk. What are you supposed to do? I'm thinking this, right?
Yeah, no.
Be careful with the door, please. Be careful with the door. Be careful with this door. I only polish the rice. Only rice. Yeah, I don't need the rice. If it's mixed, it's okay. Here, just don't need rice. Just leave it here and then people take it off.
It's a dry
Rice? But this is new? What you said?
I think so.
Okay, I just want to have all these rice.
Arşana sürttü. Arşana avra.
Samma 치유 그러죠.
Arşan kumbe utavare. Arşan kumbe utavare.
Arşan zari.
Zara.
Arşan örttü. Ардчгаар багшид баардлагч
Бүтүү байгаа. Надад бүтүүнээс
гэж юм бол очрооны арчаа шүү дээ.
Оо, миний очир. Мом хоёр өөр юм.
Очир байна.
Ийм таршинтай намайг авах баасан оруулах.
Ece.
Yeah,
Does anyone want incense?
Oh, we can have some incense.
Here.
Turn the light. 这个都是加持过的啊。这加持。那个师兄给您一个那个。我再来。Okay, I take them all. Thank you. Okay. No, I don't want to play.
So how can I pick it? Hi, Annie. Is there any cup here?
Give me that one.
You can give some for the person. Cup.
那边有杯子，你要么要直接喝。
我给你拿手，我给你到手了，我给你到手了，我直接喝点就完了。倒一点，2只手，一点就行。喝。好，头弄好。可以了。
You want them to take the anchor down?
Oh, I got it, Jen.
No. Oh, those are saffron water.
It's saffron water. People they like to take them. Yeah, if they like. So this would not be
I'm sorry?
不像学我家说。
Yeah, this one. So he's going to
No, he's not here. He's gone. And take it. Yeah.
Like we have. All right.
Can I mix them or not?
You can just pour the. Yeah, you can mix it your own water. Yes.
那我把那把把你和那个他说可以。
Here, I just put it in the table so you can. Yeah, there's holy water in there. Where's the cushions go? Cushions? Is there in the box? Where? Follow you, ma'am.
两种选，
Oh no.
Not you, but the lady that was here. Oh, really? Ask her. I don't know where she is.
What?
See what I did? Some gray scissors. No, she had brown hair. She was fixing the flowers and stuff, and I let her borrow my scissors, and I don't know where they ended up.
They did?
If you see any, let me know.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
They're gray, big scissors. Yeah. If you see them, okay? Just give this only pair I have. Not I have to buy them again today.
周六考。明日ので。What about chairs?
And give these fruits for the people, please.
Oh, anyone wants a fruit? Yes.
Anyone want some?
Yes. Have some fruit.
Wanted or blessing offering?
Take offering fruit. Take some
Offering.
offering fruit.
You can I get
Orange.
I think I get.
Oh. Oh my God! Can I drink all this for tonight? Come on. Oh, you can take that and share it with others. Yeah. So
You can give it.
yeah, so you can leave some here. Excuse me. Excuse me. Okay. You can leave some so I can give it to other people.
No, someone.
Yeah. Yeah, I can maybe yours. Hey, you said that three is good. Is that okay for you? Yeah. So, yeah.
I got a wheelchair. This one is close to me. I'll take you. I'll take you.
Puxa, James, para todos. James, out, man. In this house. Walking back. Аз амсгаж болно. Нэг нь. Чи James гэсэн нь боссон шүү дээ. Уур юу их. Тийм одоо хэд брах та. Нэг нь яач хийж бодоод. Энд очив. Тэгээд та James авсан уу? Slowly.
Does this have a box? Is this yours or is that from the?
No, from the temple.
Okay, then should I take it? I think yeah, you said. I can. You can take it. This is yours. I can. Does this go to the temple?
Oh no, it goes with me.
You know,
This your stuff.
the attention got it from the hotel the attention got.
That's us from hotel.
I don't think so. It's you live in there.
Why? Garbage is there. This is offering water. Maybe some people want it. Yeah. So after that, yeah.
I gotta just ask you.
If anyone wants some offering water, you're welcome to get out. Thank you. I just need to be Thank you.
We got one more base on my.
I guess I'll drink it. Annie, you're gonna take the Dharma, right? You need it or no? That's your problem.
喝完饮酒成六了，这个绿色我觉得直接变绿了。
那个蓝的就变成那个蓝 我什么都是。
I want, but I don't have a cup.
Oh, that is the cup. How I can go there? I have to go on a bus. All right, see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Who's going to downtown?
I'm going.
You downtown?
Are you living in downtown?
I'm gonna go downtown on the Union Station, catch the train.
Why are you living so far? You just stay in a hotel.
No, I have to go. We're going to Yemen.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, they're with
You going with Olga?
No, she's leaving in the evening tomorrow.
So you gonna leave tomorrow morning?
I'm gonna go by myself.
Already, you guys just something that happened, yeah?
She
Because of me, sorry, I just
no.
started. I'm so sorry.
She's saying the third person come, but the person has a work Monday, and then finish it. So I gotta show you. What else to do?
He's leaving on Tuesday.
Is this garbage?
Yes, it is. It is garbage? I can.
근데 어땠어? 참 없어.
Yes.
오늘은 스타치.
What it is for the water? Open water? Good girl.
I found a gallon of water in my friend's car. Wow. So I throw it out. Уг сануулдаг байсан шүү дээ. Вебсайтн дээр аршин хийх юугаа саваа авчиргээд. Яг нь өмнө жижиг юутай сахтай оцгол хүмүүс өгөөд идэв. Зафаата хэрэг яг юм сүнрүү таа.
오늘을 다 잡아서.
혹시 그거 죽고 없지 뭐? 그거. 하지마. Энэ уг нь бусад газрын центрод шууд юу яадаг юм бэ шүү дээ.
Энэ самуудын хүүхд муу юм болоо энэ өчгөр болоо энэ.
Цай самаа за өгч байгаа.
Савтаа ус энэ хүүхд аль миний хаалт биш юм болоо гэдэг.
А өөрөө усад үс юм уу? Зонтог хийсэн байх. Аа за. Зонтог очоодоо хийсэн. Гоо тэгээд үтээч. Тэр өөртөө яриад авчих.
Do you have some empty bag?
Empty bag?
Yes. Plastic bag.
뭐다가요?
Бота нууны фука.
Тий ботаг миний юу тий
машин доо юм дүүтэй юу?
тий одоо эдрийг ягаад тэгээд өндрөгчдөр офтер авчих юм шүү дээ.
These need to be closed.
Okay, thank you, Angela.
Yes, sir.
Thank
Office
you.
3 off.
This is so good. This is so nice.
Office 3 off.
Thank you. We're not going to throw anything. Beautiful.
Stand in person. Yes.
Ogna, the umbrella, please.
I'm too short for that. That's like Mission Impossible.
Are you going no, I have no home in here. I'm gonna go downtown. Greyhound or train in the
I'm gonna give this test.
I'll give this to you.
Who?
You wanna try this one? Umbrellas? Yeah, tie it together.
That's it. Yes, are you ready? Pecha, this one, keep ready. Ready, back to the
I wash your face or you took it about it.
So are you done with breaking down everything?
Hey, there's more fruits come. Can someone have it? Yeah. Hey, do you want to have some fruit? Oh, this goes to the office. If you want it,
I will take some orange for the class. But I don't have bottle. You know what? The kurcin bottle. Tell me.
not looked. Oh, not the tour. Center. Bring him in.
Зачем машина автору?
Ani.
Also bag goshira, cover goshira.
Huh?
Polythene goshira.
Get some orange for tomorrow.
What do you think was your do?
Hey, na bag na kar.
My car.
Come on, so क्या चीज़ के दाई? Okay, yes. Cina ada yot pas tanjin pas nanta yes, rinjap chatan. Na,
Şey ya. Filmi gösterdi bu humus çıkıyor. Bukların bir nasıl olur?
Hier нөгөө нэг ягаад очиж байгаа гэхээр маргааш өдөр ингэж хоол нэг цайнд би ингэж авах байхгүй. Маргааш өглөөний юу гимсийг
I think this should be okay.
That should be enough.
Тэр нөгөө өсөлтөө өгнө.
Пенсил
аваарай гэдэг.
Тинах чойдоо. За чи
Машин харийг байна.
энийг энэ миний машин дээр авах.
Тэнд бас харсан.
Бэлий тэрийг явах юм.
Байлын бас байлын центртэй бол аяа шинэ юу юм? Гармас дээр гоож үзсэн. Тэр банд Жим. Тэр Dharma банд. Би машин аваад ирээ.
I'm gonna take my
You can take this with you. these shrine
Holy water, someone needs to take it.
I'm not
Otherwise
going to take
goes to
it, but I'm going to
center.
drink some.
Take it to the center. No picture, just center may has
It's so beautiful. When it was
container.
Way too big.
I want something smaller.
Oh yeah.
You should ask if balconies.
I looked on Amazon, they're ridiculous. What a ripoff. They're really gouging people.
Can I drink?
Yes, yes, of course, please.
Is that tea?
It's shrine water.
No, the brown.
You can take some water to home and you can wash fish tomorrow morning.
If you have someplace to take it. Everybody can sit in the car.
What do you
Plug
call
one
it?
picture.
There we go.
I need,
Is
what
this-
do you call
what is this?
water?
Also shrine water, but it has some of
Crystal
the,
water.
the red.
Oh,
So it's drinkable. It's probably
Water, open water.
I like it. Like holding the car all the time. I guess if it spills on you, it's less than you then.
I had to drive lots of soup from my house to the center.
Been there before, yeah. I know how that is.
I've learned a lot of lessons. Another thing about how a spoon's supposed to cut the surface tension. Not enough in a car.
Thank you for the gift. And sense of
I think so.
Can someone drop me to the CTA station to go on the line?
okay.
When Washington to go line. What is this? What is it? White powder or something else?
Okay, then I'll meet you over there.
What is it? I don't know. I just found what is it? Oh, really? Okay.
Little bulbous ones are ours.
Yeah, because they didn't have bases of, and then you guys came for the flowers and the first thing.
Oh, yes. This medicine is very, very good. Far. It's a placebo. Makes you feel
I
better.
had over 100 and didn't take up with other ones.
You can get on for like
But they are different.
if you know you're like, oh, medicine's gonna heal me, and you get something else instead.
I'm not gonna fish my Told me that you story.
And you're like,
Give me something if I'm not ordinary.
here, just take this.
It looks like when you don't have it, take it for symptoms, you don't have it, you symptoms.
I don't know which is somebody's, right?
Four people are still watching the live stream.
Really?